Hey everyone, this is Steve Kik, the host of the MMLA Connect Podcast, bringing you another episode. And today I have Nancy Baker with MSHDA. Hello, Nancy. Welcome to the MMLA Connect Podcast.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We're
I'm happy to
excited to
be
have you
here.
on. You've been a great partner of the MMLA for a long time, a great lending resource, and I'm excited to tell your story and also tell the story of MSHDA.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
So, Nancy, tell us about your career, how you got to where you are, how long you've been at MSHDA and why you're there.
Okay. It's a long and circuitous route, but I started actually with the state of Michigan at 19, working in the unemployment office in Ionia in 19. So yeah, a long time ago. But it was a really great place to get a firm foundation in customer service. I'm not sure you'll hear many people that started out in unemployment saying this, but I really liked working there. From there, I went to work. Well, I was there for a while, and then when they started doing telephone claims, I ended up running their customer service hotline, which people would call when they were having really serious issues. From there, I was recruited by the MEDC, the Economic Development Corporation, to run their customer service hotline. And then I became an account manager with MEDC. I worked in Oakland and Macomb counties, being businesses in the area. And then in, 2005, there was some staff transfers between MSHDA and MEDC. And that's how I ended up at MSHDA. They did not really have a sales staff, an account manager type position when I came there. So myself, Carol Brito, and Ben, and geez, this is terrible, but I can't remember Ben's last name. We basically developed that whole business development staff there at MSHDA, and I've been there ever since.
So you were kind of on the ground level, if you would say.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. And what year was that MSHDA kind of kicked off?
2005.
Okay.
20 years ago.
Wow. And you've been there ever since and nothing but up and up, right?
Oh yeah. It's been a great job. I really enjoy the folks at MSHDA, and I enjoy what I get to do. I get to meet wonderful people like those at the MMLA. So
absolutely,
it's been a lot of fun.
There's something to say too about the fact that you kind of came up through the ranks, and worked through, different government positions to get to the position you are now, and really learning how to navigate, I'm sure, lots of obstacles in getting things moved forward. Because I'm sure, things aren't always easy working with the government, but you've done a great job of helping a lot of homeowners. Tell us a little bit about how that history has helped you in this current position.
Well, it all started back when I was at unemployment. It was in a small town, Ionia. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was near the area where I grew up. So a lot of these people that came in, I knew them. They knew my parents and what have you. And there were certain individuals that worked there that I thought perhaps were less than courteous, maybe, to people that came into the office. There was no way I was going to be like that to folks that I knew. So very early on, I just had this in my mind. You are going to be polite and knowledgeable to every single person you talk to. And what came out of that was just the gratitude you would get from people and the appreciation that you had treated them with empathy and that you bothered to learn enough about your job that you could point them in the right direction. And the appreciation that they showed me, I just got such a buzz off that. It made me feel good about what I was doing. Remember, I was only 19. And it just made me feel that I was important in somebody's life, that I was actually having an impact. And I have a really good story about that. A family came in, a husband and wife, their 2 young kids, and then his claim was going to be denied. And I talked to him about it. I explained to him why, and then I explained to him what he needed to do to appeal that. And that could take time. It could take weeks and weeks, but he ended up winning his appeal. So it just so happened they were in my line the day they came in and were getting all these checks covering that time he had been laid off. And these folks had been desperate, right? I write all these checks. His wife's looking at me like I'm wearing a cape and a giant S on my chest. It was wonderful.
That's awesome.
So 2 weeks later, when they come in, he's going to get his next check. They place this basket full of produce on the counter in front of me, which they wanted to give me for helping them. Now, of course, I can't accept something like that.
Yeah.
But to this day, I'm a little disappointed because those are some really good looking tomatoes. I have to tell you, I was sorry to let them go. But it just, the feeling that gave me as a young person really set the foundation for how I felt about serving the people of the state of Michigan. I wanted to treat them the way I wanted to be treated. And that's followed me through my whole career. And it was a very good lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Customer service and being and having gratitude towards, other people. It's a huge, huge mind shift, and it can change things in your work life and not just your personal life too. So I love that you've carried that forward in your career.
Yeah.
So tell us about MSHDA. Explain to us what MSHDA is. I think a lot of people have heard it, but tell us what MSHDA is, what it's aimed for, what's the mission?
Okay. Well, our mission is to provide safe and affordable housing for the people of the state of Michigan. A very big and important job these days. With MSHDA in particular, I want to address some of the misconceptions because they're certainly out there. Number one, people think it's just for low-income borrowers, and that's absolutely not true. It's a low to moderate income program, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people, all they hear is the word low. I mean, our income levels go all the way up to over $182,000, in the highest income level county in the state of Michigan. So they're quite generous, as is our sales price limit. Being in the industry, that wasn't the case for quite some time, but, now our income limit. Pardon?
I said that was a big change for everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So over $544,000. Another big misconception is that it's only for first-time home buyers. Now, granted, there are areas of the state where that is the case. I think 17 of our 83 counties have areas where you do have to be a first-time home buyer. But the overwhelming majority of the state, that's not the case. So it truly is open to a lot more people than what you might think. Additionally, the MSHDA of 10 to 15 years ago, if your idea was that it was going to take too long and it was a little too bureaucratic of a process to go through, I say fair, but that's changed drastically. Our turn times in 2024, we would get back to lenders when they sent us a file in 1 to 2 business days, 90% of the time. Now, admittedly, since the sales price limit increased and we've had an increase in production, that slowed things down a little bit. We got up to 7 business days. We're now down to 4 business days turning those files. And kudos to our underwriters because those folks worked mandatory overtime the entire summer to make sure that was done. So, we take that very seriously, and we want our lenders to be happy. We want our buyers to be happy. So we're committed to getting those things out the door.
I've been nothing but impressed with, MSHDA and the turn times and the communication too. It's really been so much more smooth as the years continue to go on. So even in the times when you guys are busy, we're still communicating through, what the turn times are with our clients. And when the file is touched, it's not taking long for it to get approved. So that's the biggest thing, right? We can't really help the turn times because the number of files are the number of files. But once MSHDA gets it, they get it back to us quickly. And that's the biggest thing.
Just to give you an idea of what the impact on that volume was, for the last 3 years, we've set records every year as far as the number of people we've been able to help get into homes. And in 2024, it was roughly 5,100. Sales price limit went up May 1st. In the month of May and June combined, we got 2,000 reservations. So, almost half of what we would do for an entire year. So again, I can't shout out our underwriters and Chris Blank, our operations manager, enough. They've really done a tremendous job. But they make my job easier.
And they have, and it's a group thing. But I will say, Nancy, you and your sales staff, Tanya Kuhn and some of your other partners have really taken on the task of going out into the community and educating referral partners, realtors, lenders about, how we can help more people with the MSHDA program. So I applaud you and your team for what you've been doing and raising awareness and getting out in the communities. Has that been a big part of what your plan has been through MSHDA, is to get out there and spread the word?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we used to pound the pavement a lot more, stopping into offices, and we do that still to some extent. We're doing a lot more things virtually. It's a new world, of course. But I want to thank our lenders as well, because you folks have done a tremendous job helping us get out there. Continuing education classes for realtors, that gets us out in front of those folks. I love it when lenders join me in those classes and can show what their knowledge is as well. We're also available to do any type of home buyer seminars when our lenders or nonprofits have events. So we do a lot of those. We belong probably to just about every association under the sun that works in the mortgage industry. MMLA certainly, but Michigan Bankers, Community Bankers Association, the Credit Union League, Michigan Realtors. We work with all of those organizations, attend their events, talk to them, talk to the general public that might be at those events as well. But I do want to say, for my money, MMLA has been the most beneficial, because your focus is mortgages. So,
Yeah.
For Nancy Baker, the most bang for my buck has definitely been being an MMLA member. So.
Yeah, and we love to hear that. We thank you for your continued support and involvement in the MMLA. You show up to events, you're there, you are, the quintessential member of the MMLA. So we appreciate that. We always love seeing your smiling face there, Nancy, and we appreciate it. So we would love to continue to make it worthwhile and see how we can continue to promote MSHDA. We have great lenders out there using this product, and I'm going to give a shout out. LMCU does a great job, but Mortgage One, my guys over there,
Absolutely.
they love to do MSHDA loans, and they really have, a great grasp on how to utilize that product. So we love it. We appreciate you at the MMLA. So please continue to keep coming and supporting, because we know that we all work together in this, especially with the mortgages that are connected with me. We do appreciate it.
Yeah. I appreciate it too. MMLA, the food is good, the company's better. So
I love that.
it's all great.
Tag that one. Tell us a little bit more about like MSHDA not being just for first-time home buyers, right? So how can it benefit
Certainly.
someone who's not a first-time home buyer? What are the main ways in which can they utilize down payment assistance, or what are the main factors that someone who might not be a first-time home buyer but still could use MSHDA?
The two biggest benefits for MSHDA, you've mentioned the down payment assistance, but also our interest rate. We do strive to keep our interest rate below market. I would hope to see something soon. I don't know, but because rates are dropping.
Yep.
But particularly for that buyer that doesn't need down payment assistance, either they have their own funds or they have gift funds, they can enjoy a pretty good interest rate. Currently it's 6%. With down payment assistance, it's higher. It's 6.625. So definitely that's beneficial to them. We've also become a lot more flexible stacking other DPA programs with our own. We have some that are already pre-approved. Certainly the Federal Home Loan Bank funds like Launch and HOP funds, but City of Detroit, City of Jackson, Habitat of Kent County, we can now work with. Ingham County has their own down payment assistance program that we can work with. We're currently looking at a DPA from the, the Huron Band of the Potawatomi Indians that have their own down payment assistance. And I want your members to be aware of that, because if because there's lots of them out there. If you know of a local down payment assistance program that you would like to see married with MSHDA, those documents need to come directly to me from whatever entity is offering it. Our legal department will review their mortgage documents and see if it's possible for us to do. And sometimes there's a little back and forth with that. We need you to change something about this deed restriction, or, to make it work, they definitely have to subordinate their loan to ours. We're purchasing that loan. We're not going to subordinate to somebody else. But oh goodness, in the past year, we've, added 3 or 4 of those other DPA programs to be used with ours. And that's just, more buying power for your borrower.
Yeah.
So, I think that's huge. We've also had a lot of program updates, which I'm sure you're aware of, Steve, but the income or the sales price limit, certainly, but we also increased our acreage. Used to be a 5 or 2 acre maximum with exceptions up to 5. Now it's 5 acres with exceptions up to 10. We've expanded the types of manufactured housing. We can do single wides now. We allow a payment of single premium MI. That was something we had always prohibited in the past. And a lot of these changes came to us from suggestions coming directly from the lending community. And that's important. We believe in stakeholder collaboration. So whomever out there that's listening to this that has the next best idea about how MSHDA can do a better job with housing in the state, we're definitely open to having those conversations.
Absolutely.
You guys have good ideas.
Yeah.
So,
and we have a home assist grant that can be used with MSHDA through LMCU. So,
exactly.
There's lots of programs and lots of things out there, and that's why people need to be informed. And they talk to people like me and you who can explain those programs to them, because there are so many different ways to utilize what's out there and what programs are out there. And MSHDA has been a great resource and continues to expand what they can do for people. So let's talk a little bit, though, about the first-time home buyers and just how helpful it can be for someone who may not have, the proper money for a down payment. Let's talk about how that down payment assistance works.
Yeah, and it's not just the money. I want to mention to our home buyer education, we are very committed to having an educated, knowledgeable home buyer. And for those folks that use our down payment assistance, it's required that they take a home buyer education class. But it's really good too, though, for those borrowers who are perhaps not home buyer ready yet. As loan officers and also real estate agents out in the community, I think many of you spend a lot of time trying to educate that borrower who's not quite ready yet. How to improve their credit, how to improve their debt to income ratio. We would prefer to see you send those folks to the home buyer education counselors. Spend your time working with that buyer that's ready to go. Let us take care of that buyer that's not quite ready yet and get them home buyer ready.
Yeah.
So that when they come back to your office, they're good to go. Additionally, with that first time home buyer, again, certainly the money is important, but I don't think they understand that there are alternatives to the down payment assistance. A part of that being certainly you can save your own money, but gift sources are allowed. Also gifts of equity. If they're purchasing from a family member, we require them to come in with a 1% contribution, but a gift of equity can apply to that. Or, things that they pay for outside of closing, if they paid cash for it, that can count towards it. So there are little nuances that we count on our lenders to share with folks, because that's kind of getting down into the nitty gritty. Yeah. And that's why we appreciate our experienced lending community and particularly those that are members of the MMLA, I think our compensation is fair, but let's face it, you're not going to get rich doing MSHDA loans as a rule. The folks that do them are doing it because they really care about that buyer. So, we're grateful for that. It helps the process go a lot smoother when they're working with an experienced lender who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. And, that's the thing is, if it's the best product for your client, you might as well be offering it, right? And MSHDA loans have, I can personally say as a loan officer, as I've learned more and become more familiar with the program, I've helped so many more people with this, with what you have to offer, whether it was what was the interest rate program, the rate reduction, was it
rate relief program?
Yeah. I mean, I helped a handful of people in that program, many of them not first-time home buyers who qualified in targeted areas, and I've helped so many people with down payment assistance who, otherwise may not have been able to purchase a home at that time. And now they're building equity, right? Appreciation, right. And they're paying that mortgage down. So it's been a great partnership. And I always look forward to the new programs that MSHDA has coming out, because I do feel like you guys have a good pulse on what's going on in the industry in Michigan because of your involvement. And there's many programs that have helped so many people. And we look forward to those programs, even though, we talked about this beforehand, there is a little bit of uncertainty, federal funding right now and funding in general. We continue to look to MSHDA to help our home buyers.
Well, let's talk about funding for a second, as long as you brought that up. As far as MSHDA's position is concerned, We've been around since 1966. And until last year, we were utterly self-funded. I mean, we ran some programs for the feds, but we didn't ever receive an appropriation from state government in all that time. We go to the bond market, we raise money there. We generate about $1 billion in revenue every year. So we're fairly secure as far as a funding mechanism is concerned. Now, last year, the state of Michigan actually did appropriate about $50 million to us. The first generation down payment assistance program that we had was funded through that. It was very successful. I would hope and love to see it funded again, but that's where that uncertainty comes in. We don't know what's going to go on at the federal level with some of the programs we run for them. State budget, as we're all aware, has not been passed yet. So I don't know what's going to happen as far as new programs are concerned, but certainly if we have the money, we're going to do something. Now, whether that's going to happen in homeownership, I can't say for sure. There are programs out there through our neighborhood development group that are equally important, trying to generate new housing stock or new rental units. We also have a multifamily unit that works in that area. MSHDA touches everything that has to do with housing. Nancy Baker is involved with the home ownership portion of it, but there are many, many other things out there that we do that we're going to be keeping a close eye on over the next year or two, depending on funding sources. I wish I could say I knew what was going to happen, but in this case, my crystal ball is a little foggy. I can't really say for certain it's going to happen, but I can tell you with certainty that MSHDA is always going to be here, and we're always going to be able to have most of the funding that we need.
Nice. We'd love to hear that. Something I was thinking about earlier as I kind of thought about this interview and us talking, and I used to be so scared of MSHDA loans, right? I don't know why. There was something about it, being a government bonded loan or whatever.
Right.
And as I've done it more, when you go through slow periods, I think, some of us are like, hey, I'm gonna learn how to do that product that I didn't really learn how to do before.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that was the case for me. And I think one of the biggest things that loan officers don't realize is the amount of resources, yourself included, that will pick up the phone or answer the phone and answer a question if we don't understand something or there's a guideline or interpretation that we need.
Mm-hmm.
I know personally I've been able to call you and ask you questions, and you've always gotten an answer for me. So I think it's important to touch on the fact that people should not be scared of doing MSHDA loans. And I think a lot of loan officers out there think they're difficult products to do or something like that. Can you touch on that for us, Nancy?
Sure. As I said earlier too, MSHDA 10, 15 years ago, it was a little tougher to work with, but we've learned, we've evolved just like anybody else does. But yeah, we take customer service very seriously. We have online training available for lenders, but then I'm always available to do a follow-up on that where I focus on those things that are unique to MSHDA. Additionally, we just posted a new position for a person that's going to be an underwriter, but also focused on lender training. So we're going to beef up that initial training right up front. So I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. And we are always available via email, via the phone. 95% of the time, I'm going to know the answer to your question. But I'm also not afraid to tell you, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to find it for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to the person that does. To be honest with you, I'm always a little bit wary of anyone that tells me they know everything there is to know about their job, because I think to myself, either your position isn't growing and evolving as it should, or you're not digging as deep as you need to be. So, I'm always happy to say, yeah, you stumped the chump. I have to go find the answer. And I will.
The more we learn, the less we know, right, Nancy?
Exactly. Exactly.
For sure.
All you know is how much you don't.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, I love that. So, we've talked about lending quite a bit here, Nancy, but I've gotten to know you as a great person, and I really appreciate your friendship. Tell us a little bit about what you do outside of the MSHDA lens. What do you do in your free time? What floats your boat? Tell us about the real Nancy Baker.
Okay. I love to golf. I'm not that great. Well, I'm okay. I can hold my own. I make a good scramble partner. But, I read a quote once, I can't remember if it was Golf Digest, one of the editors was said something to the effect that nobody is going to remember how well you golfed. They will remember how fun you were to golf with. And so I carry that with me when I go out on the course. So I enjoy that very much. I have 4 grandchildren, and I'm fortunate compared to a lot of people I know, they're very nearby. So they're always in and out of my house. I like to feed them and they like to eat. So they're happy to come over to Alma's house and do that kind of thing. And we take trips with them, and I like to travel. I'm heading to Hilton Head in September to do some golf with my husband. So
Sounds lovely.
that'll be fun. And yeah, I love to cook, as I said, we entertain a lot. But my husband has more friends than a 13-year-old girl, is what I like to say. So we have them over quite a bit, cookouts, and we have a big Christmas party every year. It's kind of an open house where people are coming and going all afternoon. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, Saturday before Christmas, Steve, if you're in Lansing, stop by.
Hey, yeah, I live in Lowell, so, I'm not too far away. So
there you go.
I like that invite.
Absolutely.
Well, Nancy, it's been great talking with you, getting to know more about yourself and MSHDA. On the MMLA Connect podcast, we always like to wrap things up with one positive take that, our guests can leave our listeners with. So, Nancy, leave us with something positive for our listeners.
This is something that's always served me well, and I know it sounds corny. It's actually a lyric I heard in a song once, and it said, the days that I keep my gratitude higher than my expectations, I have really good days. And I try to live by that because it's true. It's, be grateful for what you have, and your expectations will fall in line behind that.
Wow. Powerful message right there. Something I love to live by too. I try to wake up every day with gratitude and think about what I'm grateful for first thing in the morning. So living in gratitude is a great place to be. So again, thanks for sharing your time, Nancy, explaining about MSHDA and how it can help more people and help the MMLA as well. So once again, it's been an honor and a pleasure. I wore my party shirt just for you. And it looked
kind of matched.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that. Once again, thanks, listeners, for listening to the MMLA Connect podcast. We look forward to you continuing to tune in. So thanks again, Nancy.
Thank you, Steve. You have a great day.
You too.